Here we go. Z 1.8. Right, let's see. Okay, let's get all settled in. I'll get my guy going here. I can catch up to you guys now. Bump here. All right. Welcome everybody to In the Feed Zone. We've got a couple technical difficulties, but we are gonna work through it. I am working my way up to the group. I'm about 10 seconds off and then I'll get started here. Just about there. There we go.
Don't forget the rest of us.
Yeah. Here we go. All right. Let's see. Back. Jump straight into our presentation today. And we are going to be talking about a really interesting topic today. It's about creatine. There was a lot of talk about the different topics that we wanted to kind of hit as we went down our journey of sports performance and endurance, and everybody wanted to hear and talk about the different supplements we can take. I let them know that I wanted to kind of start with a bit of a primer to get everybody acquainted with, kind of the basics of everything as far as other things went. And I think as far as like carbohydrates and protein, we've got a good basis of that. So as we move forward, I think it'll be nice to kind of work our way through some of the supplements or popular supplements that we see in the media that will give us some insight or some performance gains in a legal way, of course, to be able to get the most we can out of our training, our racing, that sort of thing. As the group starts to come together here, I apologize about that. I think we should be good now. I'll get my guy dialed in. We should be good to go. We'll get started here. All right, so my name is Jason Flores. I go by JFlow, and thanks for joining us here on In the Feed Zone. A quick medical disclaimer is that the only purpose of this live stream is to educate and to inform, and this is no substitute for professional care by a doctor or other qualified medical professional. This live stream is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. So the goals of the live stream today are to present current articles in the media covering food, hydration, and how it relates to sports and endurance, and open a dialogue for viewers to ask questions and to get advice and talk about their experiences. All right, so just a couple things here is we want to talk about creatine, and specifically for road cyclists. We want to talk about what creatine is. We want to talk about, as a supplement, how is it useful for us as road cyclists, and then different sources of creatine that is available, how to take it, how much, and then a quick summary to kind of bring it all together to kind of give us some information and some really important tips for those that are racing under the USA Cycling banner as well, to make sure that we're not doing anything kind of outside of the rules in that respect. So I can move on, just getting everything shared out as well. If I could turn down Richmond here. There we go. All right, so what is creatine and how does it work? So creatine is actually aimed to increase a chemical called creatine in the muscle. Creatine in the muscle is actually used for forceful, hard contractions. And so think about when you get up for a sprint, when you're in the pack and you want to push for that, to close that gap, or even to make that initial move for a bridge, or that sort of thing. Those are the quick, fast, hard strength movements that we're looking at making with things like creatine, and that's what we need and what we use in our muscles to make that type of movement. So we're looking at max efforts. When you do take creatine, it aims to increase it, and research does show that it can increase it up to 20% above the normal levels that we find in our bodies. It also allows for the production of max efforts for longer and then more frequent than you normally would if you didn't take creatine alone. So creatine is one of the longest studied safe supplements that we can take, time and time again for all sports, no matter what you're doing. Pretty much, if it involves any max efforts at any point in time, it can definitely be useful. There are also some benefits. There are also benefits of muscle size, but for us, most importantly, for muscle strength. We'll kind of talk about those. As far as a supplement for us, like specifically, it's not a major factor when the effort's not full out. So thinking you're on the wagon, thinking you're doing like a long century and you're not doing big sprints with not a whole lot of climbs, that sort of thing. We're not talking about that sort of efforts, like long steady. We're more so talking about efforts that are kind of sprint efforts. You're talking about our shorter races online, even anywhere within an hour. You're kind of matching efforts, as well as things like crits, criteriums, and even short circuit races and that sort of thing. Without saying, there is an associated with slight weight gain. And usually it's very mild and usually offset by the amount of riding that most of us do. So it's not something that we find ourselves having to kind of watch out a lot for. The last thing is that there is a variable response, so it's something that everybody's going to have to try for themselves, and they need to figure out if it does work for them or not. And then I'll show you a couple different ways you can kind of test and kind of figure out if it's something that is interesting without saying for you. And so let's moving on. So different sources of creatine. Of course, you can get sources. You know me. I always talk about real food. So you can get these from meat, fish, chicken, all throughout the day. These are things that you can get into your meals, and that allows you to get the creatine that you would normally get otherwise. And so to build your body, build your muscles, and to move and to work out. But a supplement form, the most common, is actually called creatine monohydrate, and it goes by CM. So creatine monohydrate is the one that has the most research on effectiveness, and also the one that's most recommended. So most effective, definitely on that form. So this is the form that you'll mostly see, like when you go onto websites and you go into the vitamin store, or you go to the performance bike shop, that sort of thing. You'll find that as a supplement. So that's what you'll be looking for: creatine monohydrate. So the question is how to take creatine. So there's a couple ways. You can load it for a short period of time at 20 grams a day, not all at the same time. You'll actually do 5 grams per dose for about a week. After that, you'll actually do a maintenance dose of 5 grams a day. More likely, what you'll do is, because of our training and the sort of things we do, and people will most likely take 5 grams a day, and you just continue to take this daily for 4 weeks. And at the end of 4 weeks, you will actually find yourself at the same point that you would had if you did the loading. So they had two groups do one or the other, and they find that the end result is actually the same. So the one key thing is, and I did ask in a question yesterday, if people are taking this with just water, are they taking it with a post drink or pre-workout or post-workout? The timing of it actually doesn't matter. It's the amount that gets put in throughout the day or throughout the weeks, kind of compounded. But the one thing that does show in the science that's strong is that taking it with a carbohydrate source can help spread the absorption when you do take in the creatine. So taking it with, if you're doing a pre-workout with carbohydrates, or a post-workout, of course, with carbohydrates, depending on the intensity of the workout, it can definitely help spread the absorption as far as the creatine in the body. So kind of bringing it all together, we're looking at creatine is made in our muscles. Normally it's not something that's not in there. It is actually in there, and it allows us to do the things we need to do. So if it's something new for you, it's not something you've been missing. It's something that's always been there. But supplementing can increase this level. So thinking about those strong efforts again. So you're looking at improving performance in short and high intensity efforts. So fast out the gun, cyclocross style, big sprints, sprinting out of every corner in the crit. These are things that you can get less perceived exertion, less repeatability as far as the power levels and that sort of thing. And so the one tip I always wanted to bring in is always making sure you have a clean and pure source. So I have a lot of athletes that say, yeah, I'm taking creatine, it's bundled up with my pre-workout, my post-workout, or that sort of thing. And you just need to be careful when you do that sort of thing, just because source and the bundling of it with other things, it may not be as pure as if it was just it by itself. Creatine is very, very inexpensive. Inexpensive, meaning like pennies on the dose. So there's not a whole lot of cost involved with it. So it's something that you can get on its own, and I do recommend that. And just being careful of combining with other things, because a lot of times you won't get the dose that you need, up to 5 grams, and it'll be bundled with a bunch of other stuff. And if you don't know what the other stuff is, it actually might be on lists that are like illegal to take during some of our sports if we're involved with like USA Cycling and that sort of thing, or your cycling group, as far as that. So that's something to always watch out for, because the studies or the things that I've seen are always because people didn't know that they were taking it with something else, and it's innocent things that they were taking. So I did forget to mention that this actually was brought to us by one of our writers on Team ODZ, and there was some interest in it, but it actually came from Cycling Tips. So as usual, this is not any of my information, but just a really good summary of the things that we need to know kind of from the top down about creatine. So just kind of bringing it together, we're looking at pretty much 5 grams a day, or a loading dose of 20 grams per day over the first week. We can get this from normal foods, and looking to try it out. If you haven't tried it out, it's one of the safest things. The side effects are little to none, if any, as far as trying it to get those efforts up, and then see how you do. Try it for 4 weeks, and then get off it for 4 weeks, and then see how you like it. So that's about all I had. Here's a link. Cyclingtips.com is where you can find this and a whole lot of other articles. The next ones we have coming up are actually very, very interesting too. We have things like baking soda and a couple other ones, beta alanine, and some other fun things as far as like supplements. So we'll be able to kind of delve into that and see what people are taking. And then actually I could jump in on Facebook here and see. But in the meantime, anyone on Discord, if you have any questions, also, if you do take creatine, kind of if you could share your story of how you take it and what you feel, I definitely would love to hear that.
So Jason, what's the form of it? Is it a pill or a powder, or how is it?
Yeah, there's a couple ways it comes, and it does come in a pill form. The cheaper way is typically powder, and so that's a good way to kind of to get what we need. But it really depends on kind of how you take it. Pills are actually pretty easy, but the cost is a little bit higher because it is packaged and that sort of thing.
Or how is it?
Yeah. Okay, so no comments there, but I know one of our team writers was talking about how he took it. I'm trying to get the comments up. Anyone else in the Discord channel take creatine, and what do you think of it? So I could actually share kind of my own experiences with it. So in the off season, I think it was 2 seasons ago, my coach actually mentioned it to me and was like, "Hey, during the off season, we're doing a lot more strength training. Let's try and see how this helps." And I think that was 2 years ago now. And so really strong lifts, heavy lifts, as far as deadlifts, squats, and that sort of thing. And those are definitely explosive movements on that end. And I definitely felt from the previous years, I felt like I was making gains on that end. And then compounded on that for this year, the season that just passed, I was able to get a lot of breakthroughs as far as my PRs on lifting and that sort of thing, with the same sort of benefits with the same sort of supplementing with the creatine throughout this year too. So I do it on and off the bike. I throw it into smoothies. I put it into different drinks. And it works. And it works for me. It's easy, something easy we can try and do, and I feel like it makes a difference. Yeah. As a comment in Discord, yeah, a lot of people use this for like bodybuilding and lifting. The comment was that they use it to increase their lifting strength and for core workouts, and they use it along with caffeine. And definitely, from our conversation last week, you can stack these sort of things into your workouts and into your regimen, and they can make a difference in the little bit that we can. They will help us. Was there any other supplements that you guys take other than creatine that you feel like that could make that you guys feel make a difference that we might want to take a look at in the future?
Just fish oil. I'm old.
Yeah, fish oil is actually pretty solid for pretty much all general health, and we could definitely bring that into the talk. The one thing that I find with both in my clinical setting as well as with the cyclists that I work with is that people don't take enough. So the minimal dose typically is around 3 to 5 grams. So you're looking at taking about 4 pills at least per day. So 4 grams worth of fish oils to get what you need. And even to level up from that, we could probably come into a conversation of taking something like a cod liver oil, which is a more concentrated form of the important ingredients that are in, like fish oils. So that's something to look into too. It's a little bit more concentrated. But yeah, we could definitely bring that into topic. So a little bit on the shorter end. I had a couple of technical difficulties on this side as far as the webcam and lighting and stuff in here, but definitely was able to bring you guys this topic. I'm really excited to have this going every week. We're about 7 weeks in. We are getting towards the end of our list of topics. So if you guys come up with anything, ping me online, ping me on Messenger or whatever, and we can look into that. Someone mentioned like B12 and omega-3s. Yeah, we'll definitely bring in like a multivitamin and supplements. I'll definitely find something on that. I think that'll be a really interesting ad. So anything else from the Discord group or let me check the live group. Oh, the last comment was about weight gain, and this is something that a lot of people feel, that there is like a lot of water gain, or like water weight gain, and I can address that here now. But I feel like as cyclists, because of the efforts that we put in, the aerobic efforts that we put in throughout the week, it offsets that quite a bit versus just the anaerobic efforts that, let's say, strength builders or bodybuilders are doing. There's a lot of anaerobic work, lifting things like that, and they're not doing a whole lot of aerobic work. So I think having that aerobic work kind of balances things out, but we still get the strength, the benefits without the weight gain on that end. So something definitely safe. It's really, really cheap. A lot of us on the team take it, that I know of, from the beginning, and if you haven't, it's worth a try. If you have any questions about it, I'm definitely available. So yeah, let me know. That's all I've got today. So just remember, this article is brought to us by cyclingtips.com, and welcome to In the Feedzone. And if you come up with any articles, definitely drop me a message, and I will take a look at it and see if we could bring it into a future episode of In the Feedzone. In the meantime, catch us all week on Zwift Live, and tomorrow at the ladies race as well, I'll be on with Dr. Chris Haskell, putting on a show with the ladies. All right.